Today, we're just going to be talking about this weekend's UFC event, which is Paul the Bear Jew Craig and Brendan All In Allen. Now, these are two of the top-ranked 185ers, the middleweights going at it in a marquee matchup. And I think it's flying under the radar. Guys, we can all agree that this main event is flying heavily underneath the radar, which is kind of a bummer. You know, Brendan Allen's number 10 in the division. Paul Craig is number 13. Craig obviously went up to 205. Didn't work out. Here he is down at middleweight, where a lot of people would say maybe he belongs. So here is the thought process for the main event. This could be where we finally start to see some middleweight hype on Brendan Allen. And, I mentioned the BJJ upside of the Bear Jew, but Allen's got 13 submission victories in his professional MMA career. He's only lost by sub once, and that was a second round. Let me find it. It was all the way back in 2016 to Trevin Giles at Legacy 52. That was, March of 2016. It's the last time that this guy's been subbed. So Paul Craig is going to have to do, in my opinion, a decent amount. Craig's last couple years hasn't been as clean or as sustained. Before the Andre Muniz fight, he had that bout with Johnny Walker. Walker got him out of there very quickly. That was a tough fight for Paul Craig fans. As a as a Paul Craig supporter, I was picking Paul Craig going into the Johnny Walker fight. I thought that Johnny's fight IQ would lead him into just some dumb position that Paul could capitalize on. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Nowhere close to what happened. Johnny died within 2.5 minutes, and Walker gets another meme KO. Before that, he lost a unanimous decision to Volkan Oezdemir in July of 2022. I didn't like the Volkan fight a ton. I felt like that was, from both guys, both Volkan and Paul Craig, they just left a lot of chips on the table. Each guy was really hesitant. I felt like neither of them really pushed and changed gears. It was like the same slow pace the entire time. Paul Craig unable to get a lot of the offense going in any regard. I mean, the grappling was unsuccessful. The striking was about dead even, which was surprising if you think about Volkan Oezdemir. I mean, Oezdemir is a pretty solid staple of the 205-pound division, and for him to not push and get Oezdemir out of there was just questionable. I misremembered. He was pretty good at 205 at light heavyweight. He strung together a couple wins. Obviously, Jamal Hill, he's got that existing win over him, which came at UFC 263. I was there in the building for it. It was an interesting one. I saw Jamal afterwards. His arm was in a sling, but he was in high hopes. Then triangles, Nikita Krylov. Obviously, Krylov is on a great tear right now. So he's got wins over highly ranked people in division. But the Volkan loss, and then more recently and most specifically, the Johnny Walker setback sent him down to 185, where, he starts off strong with the win over Andre Muniz, gets the performance of the night. Now here he is in a main event. If he gets by Brendan Allen, this could really shake things up for Paul Craig, who, at the age he is, 35, that's not young, guys. That's not young at all. 35 is not a spring chicken. But at the same time, at these larger weight classes, you do get away with a bit of age, I think. I mean, that's always been my perspective, is that, if you are a bit older, middleweight and above, you can kind of scrape by, especially if you've got the skills to make up for it. I don't know. I mean, I think that this has got Brendan Allen written all over it. If you're a Paul Craig supporter, I'm not coming down on him, and I'm not overlooking him. I just think that Allen's at a point where, dude, he's firing. I mean, Brendan Allen is firing right now on all cylinders, on a great win streak, a number of awesome finishes, all of them rear naked chokes. I mean, rear naked choked Sam Alvey, rear naked choked Krzysztof Jotko, rear naked choked Andre Muniz, rear naked choked Bruno Silva. So I think that this could be one of the first times that we see Paul Craig get submitted. That's the prediction. Allen by sub. Craig's only been submitted one time, similar to Brendan Allen, and that was all the way back in December of 2018. It was a Kimura, I butchered that, Kimura to Jimmy Crute, who has kind of fallen off the face of the earth. It's weird. Paul Craig's had such a weird career, bouncing back from a decent amount of stoppage losses. I mean, he's been stopped 5 times, 4 of which were first-round TKOs, yet he's still been competitive, still picking up wins when they are necessary. Allen versus Craig, main event. That's my thought. Brendan Allen by sub. Let me know what you guys think. I can see Paul Craig finishing him, but I think the way to beat Brendan Allen is not really in Paul Craig's skill set. Not to be disparaging, but where Craig excels, Allen's also pretty talented. And Brendan's got, the sharper striking, in my opinion, and the better durability, which is going to be where it all comes down to at middleweight. Co-main event, Michael Morales and Jake the Celtic Kid Matthews. Now, Morales is a real interesting prospect. 15-0, born in Ecuador, but fighting out of Tijuana, Mexico. He has had a blistering start to his UFC tenure. On the Contender Series, gets a unanimous decision, which, that's not what people on the Contender Series want. That's not what Dana looks for. But that was way back in 2021 where it was still kind of acceptable, especially if he had a good performance. Follows it up with a beautiful KO of Trevin Giles, then gets a knockout of Adam Fugit, then gets the unanimous decision over Max Payne Griffin, who, in my opinion, is one of the better litmus tests for that division. I think Max Payne Griffin is a solid welterweight. I don't think that he's a guy who can really compete with maybe the top upper echelon, but he's certainly a guy that's going to keep you at the gate if you're not at the requisite level. Michael Morales, though, is. Now he takes on Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is a really interesting career. A somewhat, I don't want to say frustrating career by any means, but, there's fights of his where I feel like he should win that he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, Jake Matthews picking up a win over Darius Flowers, 2nd round submission. That was in July of this year. So again, same timeline of both these guys coming off of, wins. Morales, his most recent one was July 1st. So makes sense. I like the matchmaking. Before that, the unanimous decision defeat to Matthew Semmelsberger. I thought that coming into that, Jake Matthews should have won that fight. I felt like he has more tools. I thought there were a lot of questions about the cardio, about if the fight went long, how would he look? And Jake Matthews didn't, I feel, put enough tools on the table, to steal that and lose the decision. Before that, takes out Andre Fialho. Right when Fialho was having a pretty decent run, Matthews just sits him down and TKOs him in the 2nd round. Before that, the arm triangle loss to Sean Brady, which was March of 2021. So he's only had a couple fights in the last few years. But before March of 2021, pretty active. I mean, wins over Diego Sanchez, Rostam Akhman. He's a finish or be finished guy. I think that's really what I'm working to with my thoughts on Jake Matthews. He is kill or be killed, and there are times where he does turn it up, and I'm very impressed with what he brings to the table, I think that his boxing is pretty good. I think that his cage presence is good as well. And I think this will be a good test for Michael Morales. So I think I'm going to pick Morales by KO.